Connecting. Test, check sound. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test, check sound. Test, check sound. Wait, wait. Test, check sound. Test, check sound. Okay, everything looking good. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my live session. We are going to do support with this female head sculpt because last week after I finished my live session, some of you asked me about doing support on female with difficult hair sculpt like this. As usual, first we have to decide how to orient the model. Ideally, this is how I would orient the head, but because we have the hairs here, it's going to be a bit problematic. And since this is a female anime scalp and the nose is in quite a safe angle here, I think I can use this orientation. So it is a rather straight orientation. Now let's get into the support setting. First thing, the most important when doing, sorry, the most important thing to do when supporting a female hair scalp like this is the hair tip. Usually, everyone would tell you to use anchor for the lowest point, which is around this area and here and the rest of them. But in this situation, if you use zero point 0.4 support tip size, which usually for anchor, you will most likely end up to damage the hair tip, or most of the time you will break the hair tip. So first, I'm going to remove all. And in this case, I prefer to use the zero point 0.3 for the hair tip. Let's start with some area here. I will focusing first on doing the support on all of the hair tip. You could use the island search function, but yeah, I have a quite trained eye, so I will not use them. See, this hair tip is very thin. I might even do like zero point 0.2 for the hair tip here and then zero point 0.3 around here. Ooh, we have plenty of very fine hair tip. Let's go back to the zero point 0.2. Just going over all the hair tip. And over here. And then more. Now, see, this is quite pointy hair tip, so I use 0.2. If it's not that pointy, I prefer to use 0.3. Here and then here. Okay, I think that should be enough because we want to keep the live session rather short and not too long. let's move on to the next step. The next step, after we provide support to the islands, especially the hair tip, now we add the anchor around here. Say, give it some distance. This hair tip will be held quite well with this zero point 0.3 support tip size, but it will not survive if you use zero point 0.3 all the way. So we can start using zero point 0.4 here. This is for the anchor. So give it some distance from the hair tip and then use 0.4. 0.4, 0.4. Let's do, and then zero point 0.4 here. Okay, I think that's, wait, I should show the one with the zero point 0.2 tip. And because the support are in the way, let's get into this advanced settings and then switch to support hidden angle 15 degrees. Wait, what about 40 degrees? Oh yes, 40 degrees. Now, we can add the zero point 0.4 anchor around here. This is to prevent the hair tip from breaking. And yes, there is no elegant way to support female head sculpt, especially if it looks like this. And if you are a modeler, it is best to separate the hair. Then that could make your life much better when cleaning up the support because you separate the hair from the head. Okay, let's say I finish with the rest of the islands. Now, the hair tip are all supported, but we need to add more supports to keep them stable. So we could go back to the 0.3 millimeter tip size. We have islands here. Let's do 0.4. Let me do a quick check to see if there's still, okay, I forgot to support here. Let's do the 0.4 to give them anchor. So excited about this one. Thank you very much, Demi Yebush. And then we have islands here, 0.4. No islands at the ears. Now, you have to pay attention to another, yeah, how should I say it? A difficult situation when supporting female head sculpt is they have a lot of different strands of hair and you have to bridge them, especially if this large cluster of hair strands here and then another large cluster here, this at the front and here at the back. And also like look at this one. Do I even need to support the tip? Yeah, let's say I have correctly support them, okay? Just to keep the video short and quick, rather quick. Now I think I have support most of the island. If I miss an island or two, I'm doing it on purpose to keep the video rather short so you don't have to watch me doing support for like hours. Because this is the orientation that I decide to use. And most of the hair tips are leaning backward. Now I have to make sure I give them a proper support to keep them stable. Now I am adding some extra support to keep them stable. Again, if you watch this video in the middle and not from the start, I purposely skip some islands to keep the video duration short. Because if I have to pay attention to all of the islands, this video will take like forever. Here and then here. And let me repeat a bit. Let's say this is the island. I'm not using the zero point 0.4 support tip size as anchor. I don't want them to get damaged when I remove the support, so I use 0.3 and then I add the zero point 0.4 around here as the anchor. What if you printed it upside down? Yes, you could print them upside down, but I do not like to damage the hair details at the top of the head here. And if you do the clean up on all these hair strokes, it is quite challenging. And why are your contacts no smooth pointy shape but have octagonal shapes to them? My contact, Oh, you mean the support tip? We will discuss about that later. Novice artisan. Hi. What scale is the head sculpt? It is about one. I'm not sure. Maybe like 1/12 scale or one. Sorry. Compared to this 1 centimeter size, this maybe like 1/8 scale. Now let me continue to the support. Let's say you have add the stabilizer support all around the back of the hair here to support them because they are leaning backward. More here, super heavy. And then we could use heavy or 0.3 support tip size all the way, all over the head. We want to have the least amount of damage so you don't spend too long cleaning up the support. Let me add some anchor here. This area is at the center, not the hair tip, so I am using the 0.4 tip size. Give them some stabilizer support, add extra support to keep it stable. You could split the top part of the head, print it normally, details up. Yes, and that is that if you are the modeler. Okay. Ideally, you cut out this part here. So you support the face and the hair separately. But let's say in this case, you are facing this kind of head sculpt and you are not a modeler. Because I'm sure like 90% of the people that use resin 3D printer have no idea how to model their own figure and they can only rely on support them and modeling it themselves. See, there's still plenty of islands here. I'm skipping them. Now, let's say you have support all the tip with 0.3 size. And some of the very fine tip here, I support them using 0.2 and I only add the anchor, not at the tip, but like somewhere around here. Give it like 1 or 2 millimeter distance from the tip so you do not damage the hair tip. Okay, we have finished support, give some stable. Okay, I'm skipping this part because this will take forever. As stabilizer that is facing for the hair tip that is leaning backward. Now we focus to the hair, the rest of the hair that is leaning inward. You could keep just one row of support for the cluster of the hair strands here. Have them merging here, just a row, and this area here is quite big, so I'm giving it like 2 row here, and then over here all the way to the top. And then this area here, I'm doing the support, the stabilizer support over here. And this area here is quite tricky. Let's add some support. True, but it's risky to remove the support. Yes, like I said, there is no elegant way to support this hair, support this kind of head sculpt. If you want to support the top of the hair and then later, clean up the damage from the hair stroke details, it is fine. But most of the time, it is safer to support the inside of the hair rather than the top of the hair. Then we have Boost asks, when you move layer to layer to find islands, do you support every island or only ones that won't connect within a few layers? If so, how many layers would you willing to let go and anchor? Uh, I think that is for another video, okay? Because that depends on the model and I cannot show it on my example here. The contact sphere is so small. I tried it once and I got failed print. Yes, the contact sphere so small because I removed the contact sphere that is used for anchor, the size 0.4 millimeter, not at the tip but around this area. So you do not break the hair tip when you remove the support. Yep, I find it fun to see how people tackle funky prints like this. Yep, I have to agree. This kind of model is kind of a nightmare, honestly. And if you're a modeler out there, please separate the hair. At least like uh the the front hair here is separated, so I could support around the edge, but not on, not for the rest of the head sculpt. But sometimes, let's say the worst case happen, you are unable to separate the hair. Like I said, uh, there might be some special case that you cannot separate the hair at all from the face. Maybe you are still kind of new to the uh, 3D modeling and you are still learning. And hopefully this video could help you. The most important is use maximum 0.3 support tip size for the hair tip and move the anchor around like 1 or 2 or maybe maximum 3 millimeters from the hair tip, and then use your anchor, the support tip 0.4 millimeter tip around this area. It is to prevent damaging or breaking your hair tip. And then for the rest of the model, you could use 0.3 millimeter. And another headache with this kind of head sculpt is you have a lot to bridge, like this one here. Okay, let me remove all the support. So we are focusing now on doing the bridging. See, this cluster is separated from this one. Let's check out where they are merging. It is right around here. So we have to bridge them. If not, you have a very high risk of, damaging or having, sorry, I mean, if you do not bridge them, you have a very high risk of having a bad print lines or layer shift because of this bigger part here has a stronger pulling force or stronger suction compared to this smaller hair cluster. So it could shift toward the bigger hair cluster. And the same with this. Sorry, after you might want to add several more bridging. Make sure your minimum bridging is 2. Mm, not the best position. I want to move it a bit, and it's quite far. So another bridging here, and look at this here. Yes, thank you, Denny. I find that many great sculptors don't have a model builder mindset. How they don't separate things like hair to make it easier to print and then paint. Videosar 19 said that. And yes, I have to agree because not every 3D modeler have the knowledge of doing resin printing and vice versa. Not every person that use resin printing and experience user like me that could do support on models have the experience to do 3D modeling. But because I'm not an expert 3D modeler, but I know how to do 3D modeling. I know how to set up orientation support. I know how to set up my resin printer setting. I know how to do the cleanup, the sanding, and I also know how to do the painting. So whenever I do or when I supervise uh, a model, at least I tried my best to have the model with the least amount of support. But sometimes because of we are talking about deadline, yeah, we do one or two shortcut. I might end up making a model that looks like this. Depends on the how long do I have the time to do the modeling, and if I do the support myself, yeah, uh, I kind of dig my myself some grave when doing the support. Now this is quite back to the support. This is quite a tall area, and the merging happens quite this at this height here. So make sure you have to add quite lots of bridging to secure them from shifting during the printing. Last time I made model with so many separate things to hide support. Yes, but sometimes you have to, how should I say it, like uh the hell with the model because I've deal with, let's say, a single statue with 109 I don't remember, about 109 different parts just for a single superhero statue. Yeah, and that is also a nightmare amount of model to support. So back to the bridging. Okay, this bridging. I think okay. This one I forgot to add the bridging. Add the bridging here, and also this small area here. You need to bridge them. Okay, let's say I add this bridging around here, and then around like here, the hair tip. Don't forget to bridge them too. Okay, there are a lot of places like this here. You have to bridge them to over here and then for dress. But let me skip on to the next difficult area. If you pay attention before, I have add a lot of support to stabilize this area, but the merging happens in this quite tricky place. Like, see, it happens over here. and there is no area for support. See, it starts to curve in. For this, we have to rely on this mini support. And you, some just call it mini support, some call it two contact support, but let's just call them mini support. And this mini support here can also be used as bridging. See, it works well. It can hold this hair cluster here from getting pulled in towards this bigger hair cluster, so you will not have shifting happens when these two part merging here. Okay, and the last area to bridge is the neck part here to the hair. Usually I prefer to have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Sorry, I placed them too low. Let's say around this area 1, 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5. Usually I would place like minimum 5 supports to bridge the hair to the head area. Hey, wait, I forgot. I can use this connection. And then we are mostly finished. That's how to do it, the bridging. Yes, neat trick. Yes, you can also rely on mini support for bridging, especially if you are unable to generate support in this area. See, I cannot generate. Let's see. Let's look at how. Um, Not bad, but you might have difficulties to remove this support later. So let's just rely on this mini support as your bridge, and then this support to help you stabilize the printer. You can also add some bridging here, just from, yeah, for some insurance. But the most important is this small mini support in this very tight area. So I think that should. I think that is all I could share when you want. Again, like this area here, you could add mini support. This is the lacking. What CHITUBOX is lacking is quite hard if you want to choose just generate mini support. And then nope, no. Okay. Just for insurance, I would add some mini support here. And to remove mini support is usually quite easy. Just use your sharp cutter and then slice it off, and then the surface will pretty much very clean and smooth. And the smallest support tip size that you want to use for bridging. I mean the diameter of my support here is 0.4. I use them for bridging. Ideally, you use the 0.3. I forgot to change the setting before. But the smallest size that you could safely use for bridging like this is 0.2. But if you use 0.2 mini support for bridging, you need more of them compared to just this amount of mini support that I generate here. Would you recommend calibrating the powerful Mega 8K with 4 sheet of paper considering screen protector? I'm not. Okay, for calibrating your build plate, no matter what is your printer, average from some of the user that told me their experience doing calibration. Some have a good success with 3 sheets of paper, some at 4, some at 5, and even the latest that I find kind of funny on Phrozen 3D printer good. He has a very good success with leveling using 7 sheets of papers. Now, it all depends on your hands because when you do the leveling, you rely on your human hands, and it is not a robotic hand that you could have a perfect alignment across all the four corners. That 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 could that you need some experience doing leveling. I have 10 years experience and I can get a very good leveling with only 3 sheets of paper. But if you cannot get a good leveling with only 3 sheets of paper, you could use like 4 to maximum 5. And like I always said to people that do private consult with me, experiment with your own settings because you could watch like hundreds of YouTube videos. What works for them may not work for you because of different environment, temperature, and different hands. Some people have a very good success with only 1 sheet of papers. You have to keep that in mind. And it also depends whether your experience come out too short if you use 1 or 3 papers. And it also depends, do you print flat or not? If most of the time you will use support, just use one paper is fine as long as you can get your model to stick to the build plate. And sometimes I would find people argue in Facebook group. Some I'm not judging them. Okay, everyone uh, can have their own opinion. Some said that my method of doing 3 sheets of paper leveling is a shitty method, but again, it depends. Whenever I do tutorials video, I I hopefully I always remind that every viewer to experiments on your settings and how you calibrate your printer. Okay, I think I could still stay doing live for like for the next 4 minutes if there's still any questions. Let's see, is there? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Let's address the chin. Because of my orientation here, yes, I have to sacrifice the smoothness for the support for the sorry, I mean the surface under the chin here. As in the previous live session, because I could give it a very high angle for the chin, I could avoid supporting them. But this time, no luck. So I use super heavy as the main anchor, and I use heavy as usual. 1, 2, and 3. So we have a tripod, and then we have to give them bridging here. I prefer to use like 2 support for the bridging. Okay, and then basically I'm done. I know, I do not support around the area here, but I have supported them before. If you watch this live from this, sorry, I mean if you watch the live from the middle, and I highly encourage you watch it again from the start. Why I do not support the rest of them because I want to keep this video short and just give you guys the trick that I use when supporting difficult head sculpt like this. Novice artisan asks, have you got an updated video on printing flat to the plate without elephant's foot? It's been a good while since I saw one, and I think the software needed has developed a bit now. Yes, in let me show you guys a quick how to get rid of elephant's foot. You could use this bottom tolerance compensation, and I'm working on tutorial for this print setting. The next one will be up shortly in several days is about light off delays and rest time. And then I will talk about lift distance and then lifting speed and then for the TSMC. After that, I will get to this advanced menu here on print settings. Demi Hebus, I really appreciate you doing my request for this. You're welcome. And I'm glad to share. Because sometimes life gives me some headache, and it just happened lately, and I need some inspiration from you guys on what to do on the next live session. And you could also send me the model if you think it is difficult for you to support and you need some guidance from me. I'll be glad to do the support on my next live session. Videos are 19. I started with Mars 2 with one sheet. Recently got the Saturn 2 and it level fine with two sheets. Yes, as long as it works. I usually get the bed down to where the paper won't move and then back it up 0.1 millimeters. Yes, you could also do that. But sometimes, just sometimes, people will think it is fine for me to level with one sheet of paper. Yes, if you have a good hand. And then it will be fine if I set the zero offset like 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3 millimeters. Yes, it is fine. But I'm sure you guys seen some user experience grinding when he start the print and then the build plate going down and then it is grinding and cannot reach the sensor, the homing sensor. And because it cannot reach the homing sensor, it cannot raise up to your Z offset. That means I'm not saying it is wrong to use one paper. I'm just saying that when you use one paper, because the gap is very small, only 0.1 millimeter thick, you have to make sure you check every corner and then you could slightly pull the paper with slight friction. That is to ensure your plate is not pressing down too hard. And if you experience grinding, that is your answer. You could either relevel with more sheets of paper or make sure the one paper that you use for leveling, you could slightly pull them. If you watch my previous older video about leveling tips, it is better to cut your paper into smaller size and then place the smaller paper on each corner. That way you could tell and check by pulling each paper on each corners, do they have the same friction? That way you could tell that your plate is very level and do not pressing your screen too hard. By the way, I really appreciate your video on how to prevent warping, especially with flat objects. It drove me nuts how often it happened. Actually, there's also another case where your flat object could warp, and that could happen during post curing. Do I have any flat object, for example, here? I do not. Let's say this is a flat object. Okay, let's say this is a flat object. Most people will just place the model like this inside the curing chamber And if you use something like the wash and curing unit, at the bottom, only one row of LED. At the top, most of those curing unit has bigger LED light, or two rows, some even three rows, some even have a very big UV LED at the top. That means the rate of the post cure, the top and the bottom is not the same, and you will end up with your model curling up or buckle up like this. Ideally, you want to keep them standing up like this, because inside the curing unit, it will rotate and have a very even surface during post cure. That way, your model will not warp. Or let's say let's say these are the support of your model. Okay, rather than uh, remove them, you you it'd be best if you cure your flat object while still having the support attached to the model, because those support could help prevent your model from warping during curing. But here's another trick. Here's another trick. Do not place your flat model with the support attached. Okay, let's pretend these three suction cups are the support. But do not place them oriented like this, but have the support facing up. Trust me. If you try it, the model will not warp at all. You should try it. It will not warp if you, if you have flat model and the support, you have them upside down, having the support facing up. It will not warp, and it works best rather than placing it right side up like this during post curing. You should try it. Uh, I I accidentally encountered that trick because uh, I print the same flat model to some client, and he requests that I do not remove the support because he's quite curious on the support removing process. So on the first print, because I place it the correct side up like this, again pretend the suction cup are the support, the model warps so bad, and so I reprint the model again and I place it upside down, and somehow the model do not warp at all. Okay, now it is 23:31. I guess that should be enough. Is there any last question? I will count to 10, 1, 10. Okay, I guess no more question. So I could end the live session tonight. Again, thank you guys for accompanying me on this live session and watching me just I don't know. Yeah, I know. I had a bad days for the several last day, but I'm happy that I could doing the live session, and it's kind of cheer me up with all of you guys watching. So yeah, thank you, and see you again in the next